Does anybody have any questions for Nicole? All right, moving on. We'll move on to our financial agenda items. Does anybody have any public input pertaining to those items on the agenda, 3A through C? Seeing none, we will move on to our August financial statement.
Okay, as of August 31st, 67% of our fiscal year has lapsed. In general, most all of the funds are on track. In the general fund, we've exceeded the budgeted amounts for facility use rentals and development fees. A lot of people are using our facilities, and we're now collecting development fees, so that's good. As I've mentioned previously a few times, IT services, internet, and fuel in most all funds are over budget, and we will look into that when we go through the budget process. We've received the 2022 federal mineral leasing and severance tax. We budgeted $500 for the severance tax, and we received $171,429. And we budgeted $10,000 for federal mineral leasing, and we received $37,924, totaling $209,353. That's $198,853 above what we anticipated. I believe Katie gave you a copy of the email from Patrick Rondinelli with DOLA, and he states that the increase in revenue is due to the increased oil and gas prices and the increased production this year. Sales tax numbers are included in your packet, and those numbers continue to steadily increase.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Kathy? No,
I got one. Does that gas increase, is that statewide?
It's here. It's locally.
Just in La Plata County?
Well, it's just locally here, yes. So La Plata County receives their share in the unincorporated portion, and
We get a
Town
share.
of Bayfield receives a share of either employees that work in oil and gas, or the energy field and live here, or the leasing that is in the town of Bayfield.
Okay.
there are no further questions. I'd entertain a motion to approve the August 2022 financial statement as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
Trustee Dallison,
Yes.
Trustee Harts,
Yes.
Trustee Luke,
Yes.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, we'll move on to our employee health insurance quotes and the drafted options as presented.
So I provided the health insurance quotes. You have the quotes from Cigna. We also went to CEBT and to another local insurance provider to get quotes. CEBT about 2 weeks ago responded said that they cannot compete with Cigna's 2021 quotes, and so they were going to decline to provide us quotes for 2022 and the most of 2023. Then the local insurance provider would like the employees to do a survey. Basically, what he sent us is the application to sign up for health insurance. The employees at this time just kind of declined. We can still proceed with that if that's your direction to staff. But we're currently right now looking at the Cigna quotes. So currently right now in the packet is their first quote, and Cigna, this supplier of quotes has been really good about coming back with kind of their bottom dollar. So it won't go up, but it could possibly go down somewhat for the renewal. And you'll see there basically that there is quite an increase. Our employee pool, they only had a little over 2% of preventative care for employees. So I think it's our job to go back to our provider and find out how they're getting that information, because when we met with the employees, there were 3 or 4 that said, well, I do preventative care. And, you know, that's more than 2%. So we just have to figure out maybe where they're getting that information, that maybe it's not all getting recorded correctly at some point. Our health insurance is actually December 1st to November 30th. And in order to prepare for enrollment, we would like to get your decision on where to go with the plans. We still can go to this local provider and have the employees fill out the medical survey. But we would really like to make that decision on the 4th so we can prepare for enrollment. Last year, we waited until the second meeting in October, and then we're scrambling basically to get paperwork, and then November 1st to basically the 30th is the enrollment period. So there's some scrambling going on. It would be preferable to make this decision on the 4th. So then we took the quotes and we basically plugged them into how the town would provide that health insurance. And off to the far right in all those boxes is basically the employees' share per paycheck. To the far right, and then the annual cost. So if you go to the red box, basically to the employee family, if we continued at 85% for the OAP, open access plan, that would be just shy of $27,500 per employee. You can hire an employee for that amount of money. So we kind of looking at some different options. The purple box basically weighs supporting the employee plus the children in the plan. The green box is basically 90% HSA costs. So in other words, whatever the HSA costs the town is what would be provided for the open access plan. The orange box, which is town managers, is easier just to come up with a set number for family, employee plus child, and then employee only. And this is only set for an annual period, so it's only set for your budget. You have to go through this budgeting period on an annual basis, so this is only for 1 year. And then the black box takes that same set amount, but then weighs coverage of children and employee a little more than an employee plus spouse or employee with a spouse or a employee with a spouse in the family portion of that. So I'm kind of looking for your input. You know, even $24,000, you could still hire an employee for minimum wage for that amount of dollars. But we do know that our insurance rates and what we provide for employees is very beneficial to recruit employees, and obviously we do want families and younger enrollees to help our insurance rates.
Can I ask, what was the hesitation on the survey? Does anyone want to answer that, or?
Social security number.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought that might. just-
And
I
and
don't
it's a
know.
medical history, right, too? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that, I mean, that was kind of a little bit more than a survey, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
It was an application. It was the actual application
Oh,
to
okay.
sign up for insurance. So I think it kind of, I guess, shocked me a little bit too.
Okay.
Like,
I
you know,
just,
if there's
I
a,
hadn't seen it, and I was
if there's
just
a
wondering.
survey, it's one thing, but this just was a pure application to sign up for benefits.
Interesting. I mean, obviously, this is going to affect a lot of our employees differently, and I know it's ultimately up to the board to decide. I think I want to encourage the department heads to. I mean, we have to know your input. We want to keep you guys happy. Obviously, we want to retain our employees here, but there's also costs associated with all of this to the town. But I mean, let them speak up if they anonymously want to. You know, I'd like to hear from the employees what.
Which option works best?
And keep in mind that if you go with an HSA, it's a higher deductible, you'll see on the enrollment sheet, but you can put money aside in a checking account basically that can cover some of these extra expenses as well. So if you have a higher deductible and you're putting money away basically for some issue that happens, then that would be available for your family. And there are certain amounts, IRS sets the amount for, per age and per group, not the town.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should do an internal survey, and just have the different departments, like, what do all you want, you know, as far as health insurance and, the benefits, so I'd like to get more input from the employees, from the staff, before.
Yeah.
Well, and
I
I'm
mean-
curious too, like, we look at this front amount, but that doesn't tell you, well, if you had a surgery, what percentage are you paying? And, you know, that doesn't tell you what the co-pays are on these, and,
So the first page on page 57 does give you the actual co-pays, out-of-network, in-network, gives you an idea basically what that is.
oh,
Yeah.
58.
No.
If you're a healthy employee, that may not matter.
Yeah.
If you
There it
know,
is, okay.
you know, in the past, I have been aware of some, you know, I had a family that one of their young daughters had a liver transplant. So, you know that's going to be an ongoing care for the rest of that child's life. So, you know, this also is a personal decision as well. They asked about raising the deductible. I don't think that's favorable.
And then, so there's gonna be continued discussion with department heads this
Yes.
week on Thursday, I believe?
Yes, we did have all employees were invited to attend a meeting last week regarding health insurance, just so I could get a take on what they wanted. The black box, I said, you know, this is your idea. Give me a black box. I didn't get any ideas, so I kind of heard that, some adjustment for children. So that was my black box in that area. But employees can still come up with a plan. I think eventually, they've also asked for new FTEs. There's a lot of capital improvements. There's operational things that are going to also increase the budget. So it comes right down to it. You know, there's going to be a trade-off somewhere. Currently, right now, when you saw the labor figures at the last one of your last meetings, it was in the orange box is what I used. So I think we could get a budget approved and balanced with this amount in there, including some additional employees. But I think that if we keep paying up to $28,000, I think that's where we start to see that we can't do everything else that we would like to do.
Any other questions, comments? I mean, I think I'd like to get through this week and maybe give the opportunity for employees to give their input, and then the plan, can we have another discussion and then a chance to vote by the 16th, so we can have it on the 4th?
So
Discussion.
it just happens to be that you don't have an audit for 2021 yet. So we're going to have to call a special meeting on the 26th, which is your budget work session. So we can have another discussion. We'll have to plan all these meetings really quickly, but we can certainly have another discussion then.
Okay. I'd like to have a little time to kind of sort this out, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
For your planning going forward and to ensure that you have a quorum to vote on this ultimately, trustee Moreland will likely
Recuse myself.
recuse herself.
Okay. Okay. That works for me. Any other questions, comments, concerns, or? No? All right. At this time, I would like to close the regular meeting and open the public hearings. Keep in mind that we do have a staff presentation. We will have the applicant's presentation, then we will allow for public comment, and we'll allow for time to answer those. So I'll go ahead and open up the Pine River Commons Comprehensive Plan Amendment. And, bye, Tom.
And bye, Tom.
Have fun.
So Pioneer Commons, comprehensive plan amendment, this is the Hagen property, which they did have a comprehensive plan amendment. Actually, they did not. They had an annexation process that they started, and then the previous developer backed out of the deal, and so Charlie Albert has just purchased the property, and he's moving forward, and he wants to do something a little bit different right now. The comp plan, it's commercial general, so pure commercial. And Charlie would like to do mixed use, and provide commercial along the highway corridor and some residential along Bayfield Parkway. And so this first phase, first step is the comp plan amendment. This is, again, one of our lengthy processes. So comprehensive plan amendment went to planning commission, they did recommend approval. It's in front of the board tonight. And then we will see the annexation petition on October 4th. Planning commission will hear the annexation on November 8th, and then the board of trustees on November 15th. The reason why it's quite a distance between the petition is, according to state statute, you have to wait 30 days from the date of acceptance of the petition before the board can hold their hearing. And so that's why it's not gonna happen until November 15th. And then this, of course, will go through the sketch, preliminary, and final plan processes. So you'll see this project quite a few times in the next couple months as we go through the process. So what they're proposing to do on the left side is our current comp plan, and again, it's commercial. And so they're proposing to do a mixed use. The upper portion above the road would be commercial, and then that lower portion will be, and that lower portion will be residential. And as we get through the process, you'll definitely see more detailed plans come through from Mr. Albert. And that's really all staff has for you. Again, this is a simple process. And we will get into more of the technical documents, environmental studies, traffic impact report, as we go through up to the preliminary plan approval process. So if there's any questions of staff, I can answer those now. Otherwise, the applicant is also present if any questions of him.
I was just curious, I know there's some multi-unit residentials that are planned. Do we know how many units they're planning?
I'll let the applicant answer that. And again, some of that detail will come out of, as we get more into the details of the traffic and the land use review process, so sketch plan, preliminary plan. That'll start to formulate, but I think he has some ideas based on his conceptual design that we on the property.
Charles, did you want to talk about your project, or?
Yeah, okay,
You can go to the microphone.
yeah, right. Yeah. I'm Charlie Albert. I live a little bit north of Durango there. I've been in Florida County here for a long time. And we think this site is really well suited to both commercial and residential. I think Nicole covered it pretty well there, but the part along 160 is suited for commercial, and that would, the development of that would pretty much depend on progress with CDOT, the light, and a lot of stuff. So what we're looking at additionally is our phase one would be the southwest corner of the top of the property off of Bayfield Parkway. And what we want to do there is affordable housing. What I mean by that is housing that working people can buy. Seems like there's housing provided for welfare people and for retired people, but the working people kind of get left out, I think. But anyway, what we're shooting for is would be small townhouses, about about 1,000 feet. It'd be a 2 or 3 bedroom with a one-car garage, and we'd like to be able to sell those for around 300,000. But a lot of that depends on the infrastructure costs. We're hoping to get some grants for the infrastructure, and we would be willing to do deed restrictions if we're able to get that. But if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to ask them. I don't hear very well, so I may have to have somebody repeat some of your questions.
Yeah, do you have an idea how many units you would be building?
Well,
For the housing piece.
It could be in the range of 80 or 90 units in there or more.
Any other questions from the board?
No.
Do we have any questions from anybody on Zoom? No, I'll go ahead and open it up for public comment in the room, and you can stick around and maybe help answer questions if we have any.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Bruce Evans, Fire Chief.
You gotta,
You know, I don't want to discourage any development in Durango of any way, but if there's a way that in this master plan we can figure out how to move the propane facility, because residential across the street from the propane facility is just not really acceptable to us. So we're going to have some issues there. Mainly, I would tell you that in the winter, we take routine calls for odor smells up in the trailer park that is to the east of the propane facility. So it's just really not compatible with residential being in that area. But I'd much rather see its development than the propane facility. So if we can find another place for the propane facility to migrate to, that would be fantastic. To see proper development on the Hagen property.
Paul Black, 311 County Road 501, here representing the Schroeder Ditch Company. We'll have a lot to do on this project with the ditch, but as far as going from commercial to mixed use, we don't have any issues with that whatsoever. So.
Thank you.
thank you. All right, any other questions, comments, or follow-up? Like I said, I think this application is pretty straightforward. So we'll go ahead and close out that public hearing. We'll let Tom come back in the room.
Just for Charlie, I have a question. So they hear the hearing and then they make the decision after action.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we have another hearing before.
By the school building. Before you get to Bayfield Garden.
May I make a comment?
Is it pertaining to that public hearing?
Yeah, it does.
Do you want to wait till we get to the land use agenda? We can allow, well, go ahead.
If it pertains particularly to this project, I would think that it might pertain, be pertinent.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I know Paul just weighed in on the Schroeder ditch. I'm on the Schroeder lateral feed ditch board, and all of the water that will drain off of this place will end up in the Schroeder lateral feed ditch if the detention pond that they build isn't big enough. And so when they designed this stuff, I wanted to pay particular attention to the dynamics that are changing, because if they hard surface this 15 acres or however many acres it is, rather than leaving it where water can absorb in, then that creates issues for all of the people along the ditch further down, because that ditch wasn't designed to be just that ditch wasn't designed where the where the wastewater is going to end up going. So take that into consideration. I'm finished.
All right, we'll move on to our Ironton annexation and initial zoning.
So I know Kirby's on Zoom, but I'll go and do the presentation first, and then I'll bring him back up. So Ironton, this annexation is located off of Bayfield Parkway, between Bayfield Parkway and Highway 160, right across from the post office, which is right here, so where the big pond is. So this annexation is for approximately 21.7 acres. They right now are general commercial and mixed use in a comprehensive plan, and their proposed zoning for the annexation is transitional, which would allow commercial and residential. This too has a lengthy process, so they're going through the annexation right now. A petition was in front of you on July 19th, planning commission on August 9th, and then in front of you tonight. And then after annexation, they still have sketch, preliminary, and final plan. I know at the initial petition meeting, we did have some comments about traffic, and so just so the public understands, the preliminary plan, again, we'll get into the environmental studies, the traffic study, and all that will be required when they get to that preliminary plan stage. And so we will be able to weigh in on any of that, and again, just because they're asking for transitional, their proposals, they're looking at an RV park and some maybe commercial and residential. The traffic study and other environmental studies will really help dictate what types of uses would actually work there. So I know there's some concerns with traffic impacts from the RV park. So more to come on that. So really, they're asking to be annexed and designated transitional. Where they're located between our historic residential areas and the highway, transitional is actually a really good transitional use. Hence the name, between residential and, again, either commercial or, like in this case, the highway. So staff is supportive of that zone, regardless of what uses end up being approved with that property, or on those properties. A couple other things, this has to go through the state statutes for annexations, and so we have been following that process. And they're annexing 8 parcels, approximately 21.7 acres. We talked about the zoning, and then the potential uses are park, hotel, residential, duplex, rentals. So again, more to come on those uses as we get into the details. And then one other thing I wanted to point out is, right now, the existing flood data, the 2010 flood data, does show that the blue is floodplain 100-year, and then the yellow is 500-year. So right now, quite a bit of properties in the 100-year. However, as Katie mentioned earlier too, FEMA is undergoing some changes to our area's flood data. And I think we'll see something either late fall or early next year adopted by FEMA, which changes our flood data. And so right now, their proposed data is on the right, and you can see the blue and the yellow have really decreased on this property, which is the 100-year and the 500-year. So if FEMA does move forward with their new hazard maps, this project will be substantially out of the floodplains. So I just wanted to point that out. And again, that'll evolve as we continue through the process with the applicant. And that is all I have. So I can answer any questions of staff. And like I said, I know the applicant, and then Nancy's also here. If you have any questions of them, I will stop sharing so you can see Kirby. There we go.
Kirby, did you have anything to add to the presentation?
I don't at this point. If there are questions, I'm happy to address them. But I think we've gone, we feel that this property, is ideally located and should be annexed by Bayfield. We feel that, the proposed uses would be a good fit for that area. And we're still obviously, working on the sketch plan to try to promote those ideas. And I think it'll be a good change for the town. That place has been just sitting there languishing for years, and we'd like to make a difference. So if there are specific questions, I'm happy to address them. But at this point, what's been presented is what we're looking for, just to be, annexed and with transitional zoning.
All right, does the board have any questions for Mr. Ross? We'll go ahead and open it up to public input if anybody from the audience would like to address the board.
All Black, 311 County Road, 501. As far as the zoning, everything on that, we don't have any issues with it, with the shoulder ditch. There is a lot of ditches that kind of work through that area. I would just like to point out that, while you guys are considering storm water management, water is channeled basically all the way from the high school through I call it the industrial zone, wherever True Value is, all the way down to 160, comes across 160, and then also goes through this property down to kind of the Little Pine, we call it, or the river. I know the major issue with stormwater for the town is getting water back to the river, so please keep this in mind that if this is annexing in, possibly working with the developer on this, to have a route for a lot of your stormwater in this community to go out that route. Also with the new development at the Haga property, that will also be coming, stormwater will be coming down the exact same drop. So a really good opportunity for the town to have a route for water to travel back to the river. That's all I got.
Do we have any other public input? Anybody on Zoom? Seeing none, does the board have any follow-up questions or? None. All right. Well, I will go ahead and close the public hearings and resume our regular scheduled meeting. We'll move on to our land use action agenda. Do we have any public input pertaining to items 5A through C on the agenda? Hi, Tom.
See ya.
All right. All right. 5A, 2022-17 Pine River Commons Comprehensive Plan Amendment. Did you want to, anybody have any comment? Like I said, I think this is pretty straightforward. I know that there is a lot of comments and concerns about a ditch. I just always like to remind the public that is not what we are looking at this evening. And this was recommended by the Planning Commission for approval. I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Pine River Commons Comprehensive Plan Amendment with the findings A and B and conditions A, B, C, and D.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Harps.
Yes.
Trustee Luke.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, we'll let Tom back in the room here.
Do you have to wait?
All right, we'll move on to ordinance 479, the Ironton annexation. Once again, it was approved by the Planning Commission, recommended for approval. If there's any further discussion or questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 479 Ironton annexation with the findings A and B and conditions A, B, and C.
I'll second that. All right, any further questions or comments? Roll call.
Trustee Awe.
Yay.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Harps.
Yes.
Trustee Luke.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
And then do we have the Ironton annexation agreement? Do you have anything to follow up on that?
We have gone back and forth with their attorneys and Attorney Goldman as well, so I believe we're all in agreement with the correct agreement.
All right, then.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Ironton annexation agreement.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Aw.
Yay.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes.
Trustee Luke.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkenton.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to our action agenda items, 6A through C. Do we have any public comment on those items on the agenda? If not, we'll move on to our CNL lease agreement for Deeply Digital at the Bayfield Water Treatment Plant property.
So, we are in the process of, actually, the town has received some funding to do this, CNL facility. And Clear Networks is going to be constructing it for us, and then, we're gonna be doing more of a lease agreement with them in the future. This is our initial agreement. They have to apply for a building permit, and so we wanna make sure the board of trustees weighs in before we start processing, the building permit. And, again, like I said, they'll be coming back maybe the end of this year, early next year, with the formal lease that we'll work with Attorney Goldman on to actually occupy this building once it's constructed. But this is our initial agreement for them to be able to start the building permit process.
Any questions, comments? It's my understanding as well, just having this here also increases our chance of funding and grants from the county level. I heard that maybe
Well, the
today.
region is working on broadband altogether, so keep in mind that the more internet providers that you have, the better, hopefully better service and better costs you have for broadband.
And how much of a pain in the butt is it? I mean, they have to access it occasionally. How often do
Well, we currently have a CNL here at Town
Mm-hmm.
Hall, so we figured that out. I think we can figure out the next step.
Okay. I mean, I think I think it would be an asset to the community. And I would entertain a motion if there are no further questions.
I'll make a motion to authorize you to execute the CNL structure agreement.
I second it. All right, any further discussion?
Just clarify that you means the mayor.
Madam Mayor.
All right. We have a motion, a second. Roll call.
Trustee Aw.
Yay.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Harts.
Yes.
Trustee Luke.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkenton.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, Resolution 540, Budget Supplement Number 3.
So in that supplement, we have three things that we're asking for the board to fund. We believe that these are critical needs currently right now. Spillman is a integrated dispatch system. I think we're struggling for any kind of connection with the other law enforcement or the general law enforcement in our area. And then there's also the infrastructure. The only way we can have E-Force work or Spillman work is we have to increase our bandwidth and our infrastructure here at Town Hall. In fact, we continue to have issues with even just running a financial package here because we only have 100 megabyte bandwidth here at Town Hall. So we do need to improve that even if we don't go with Spillman. We have a $500 leaf picker upper or grass sweeper, lawn sweeper that is continually breaking down, and we're getting ready for leaf season. And we have a lot of acres of lawn, and of course, currently right now, a homeowner type of leaf sweeper is not adequate to continue this process. And I realized that it was kind of a gift to find out that we had additional funding. But these three items are needed in this year, and so this is a budget supplement to increase that.
Questions, comments, concerns?
I just have a quick question for Attorney Goldman. Do I need to recuse myself? It doesn't really affect us personally, but there is an item on here for the marshal's office.
For the marshal's office, that's filled in?
But yeah, as long as it doesn't affect you
Okay.
financially and personally.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so no need to recuse.
Okay,
But thanks for the disclosure.
sure.
Sounds good. So glad we have some extra money. That's a new one.
Then I would entertain a motion to approve Resolution 540.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 540.
I'll second that.
All right, any further questions or comments from the board? Roll call.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
trustee Dallison,
Yes.
trustee Harts,
Yes.
trustee Luke,
Yes.
trustee Moreland,
Yes.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, we'll move on to Post Coordinator Program Delivery, IGA.
So actually, you signed this last year, July of last year. This is the post grant that the town of Bayfield is a fiscal agent for the Southwest grant. And the $12,137 is what the program coordinator received in this grant cycle. And it's actually specifically outlined for this amount in the grant that we receive. And what we do is that there's a certain amount of stipends that go to the assistant at the marshal's office and our finance director. And then we pay out for travel and training and other things for law enforcement in this area.
Any discussion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize Mayor Tarkington to execute the standard form of agreement.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
trustee Dallison,
Yes.
trustee Harts,
Yes.
trustee Luke,
Yes.
trustee Moreland,
Yes.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, board reports, we have a busy couple months coming up with meetings, but I'd like Kristen, if she would, to update the board on the RHA.
Yes, RHA met yesterday and we were set to do interviews for our executive director position. There were at least 7 applicants and 5 of them were unqualified, barely even meet one checkbox. 2 of them were qualified, however, the board decided to not move forward with either candidate, so we do not have an executive director. And we are going to be looking into possibly partnering with the Economic Alliance a little bit more and seeing what kind of direction we can go with that instead. And then if that doesn't work out, we're gonna go back to the drawing board, and it's kind of up in the air at the moment, though.
Yeah, and I haven't had a chance to kind of catch up with you, but I am on the executive board of the Economic Alliance, and so I might be a little biased, but it was kind of I think the Alliance should go in that direction, and I'll tell you why. The Alliance they're an economic development organization. Their goal 2 years ago was to start luring businesses here and lure remote workers. And then all of a sudden, they're in this position where we cannot lure any businesses here because we can't find workers and we can't find housing for our existing workers. And I just said, we need to, pivot's the word that everybody uses, but we need to pivot. I think the Alliance really needed to shift their focus. And I think they've done a lot, trying to get a playbook together on affordable housing. So I'm interested in it going that direction, and I'm curious to see, what.
Yeah, what it comes of it.
So that's
Yeah.
just kind of my update on the Alliance. And anybody else have any board reports? Be at the summit tomorrow? Summit tomorrow. Katie, did you want to update any other meetings or?
So the summit is tomorrow. I do have another ticket, just for other reasons. I'm going to have an extra ticket that Nicole is giving up. So we have paid for it. If there's somebody here that would like to go, if not, I'll take it tomorrow and see if somebody shows up wants to buy a ticket.
I think there is a waiting list, to be honest, so.
Okay, so I'll make sure that somebody knows about that. And then we will have a special meeting because you have to accept the audit, you have to approve the audit. Hopefully, we get an audit so you can actually see it before you approve it. We will do an RFP out for an auditor for 2022. We're really disappointed with our auditor attention to this audit. We also are paying for an extra single audit as well for federal funding that we received. So just be aware that that will be a special meeting. And hopefully, if we have some more information on health insurance by that meeting, we'll try to get that to you as well.
And sorry, did you say October 26th? Is that what you're looking at?
September 26th.
September.
Yeah, that is Monday.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That meeting I may miss, and you said that you won't.
Yeah, I'm flying in. I don't get in till 8 now.
I'm probably not gonna be there.
Wow, okay, well, that kind of, because Brenna couldn't be there either, and we need a quorum. Lori.
Man.
Yep.
So we
We
should
already
have at
have
least
that.
4, is that correct? If we have Lori, Alexis, Kristen, and Brenna, you'll recuse yourself. Eli?
I was
Yes.
saying that I
I
was
plan on
probably
being there.
not going to make it,
Okay.
but I'm gonna see what I can do about changing my schedule around, yeah. And you said you won't be here?
Yeah, my
So I would
flight's
run
now
it.
coming in at 8 something. It was supposed to get here at 4. but-
Oh, bummer. Okay. Let me see what I can do, Katie.
If not, health insurance doesn't need to be on the agenda.
Okay.
But this is kind of our final budget work session, kind of before we go next direction, so.
Okay. Guess we'll see who can,
I at least need enough quorum to
Yeah.
approve the audit.
okay. All right, so you'll,
Yeah, I'll
okay.
work on it.
All right. Any other comments or discussion? If not, I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. It is 7:33.
Sounds good. That wasn't bad.
So.